Hello everyone and welcome to this pre-recorded video. I'm joined today by Alan. Say hello.
Hi there, Jamie.
How are we doing? So we are here at Glasgow Queen Street for an amazing route you've made. Can you tell us about it and where it goes from and sort of, yeah.
Yeah, this is a route I've really wanted to make for quite a number of years now. I've always lived in Glasgow in the central belt of Scotland. So Edinburgh Glasgow was a project I did well over 10 years ago. But since then, this whole area has been redeveloped as part of the Edinburgh Glasgow Improvement Programme. So Queen Street Station was basically redeveloped completely apart from the existing canopy in the centre. And that's a building in particular I wanted to model. It really is quite an unusual structure. And as part of that improvement programme, the electrification through to Edinburgh, up to Dunblane, Alloa, and other parts of the Central Belt has all happened over the past sort of 6 years. So this was something I wanted to revisit and bring a lot of the tech and sort of new concepts to how we could get gameplay to be a little bit more interesting. All came together to make this quite an unusual project to work on. And you've got the urban area in Glasgow, but as you progress north, there's some really quite nice scenery all the way up to Stirling, and on to Alloa and Dunblane.
Yeah. So the route runs to Dunblane, and how many miles is it?
Well, it's about 35, 36 miles to Dunblane, and you've got another sort of 6, 7 miles to Alloa. So all in, route mileage is about 42 miles, I think, give or take, on
Yeah.
the project.
Right. So what we'll do is we'll now go into the station, and I'll go the proper way because I mean, why not? I mean, I went through some glass, but it's fine. So, yep, we've got. I mean, just look at this. This is just quite amazing. I just love the amount of detail that's gone into here. But one of the most interesting things is you've got working timetable boards. So did you want me to go over? I'll go over to the incoming train.
Yeah, this is a bit of tech that I've been trying to find a way to develop for a number of projects now. Um, the idea with this is it does represent information for both the player train and AI trains when you design scenarios. So at the moment we're sitting in Queen Street, but we've got a couple of trains actually due in. Platform 1, there's a train coming in terminating, and coming into platform 3, we've got an Edinburgh shuttle coming in and going back out at 2 o'clock. So all of these services get information on the displays, and you also get audio announcements in the stations as well.
Right. So let me unpause the game. Here comes the train. Just going to open our doors.
The train now approaching platform 1 terminates here. This service is running on time.
There we go. Listen to that. That's brilliant. So right, what we'll do is we'll get in 385. Okay? And we'll set her up. What I'll do is I'll turn our cameras off as well, so we know you can now see the route in all its glory. And then put it into forward.
TPWS and AWS operational.
Make sure we turn on the saloon lighting, and then we will set the destination board to Dunblane. So let's come up as Dunblane, and let's come up as Dunblane. Lovely. So we're there. And you can see there's another train now coming in. This is a very highly detailed cab. So which model have you used for this? Is this a new model?
This is a combination of things. The internal model is completely new. This has been built from scratch. And the outside of the 385 actually lends a little bit of its shell to the Rivet model, because obviously we work quite closely with Rivet Games, but obviously it's been changed to operate within DS Classic. But certainly there's lots of features in the cab, things like the lighting for the train. If we put the headlights on, we've got a proving panel for the lighting there.
Yeah.
And the TMS itself has got quite a number of features, including sort of low speed mode for travelling through depots, through the washer, that type of thing. Also, we've got working neutral sections, which get displayed on the TMS as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Right, so we're going up the ramp now, Queen Street Tunnel. See, we can now see the desk as well, which got the reading light underneath. And you get points for accuracy as well, don't you? Stopping in the accuracy place.
You do. Not every station stop is set up, but certainly where you're stopping mid-platform, all of the scenarios feature a stopping point. So you have to try and judge your stopping point to the car stop boards on the platform. And where the scoring happens is you do get normal career point scoring.
Yeah.
If you then manage to get right alongside the car stop board, there's a maximum of 25 points you can achieve.
Yeah.
That becomes 1 point less for every metre you're further away from where you should be. And if you're really bad at driving, then you can actually lose some points. I don't think we'll have that today.
Yeah.
Touch wood.
Fingers crossed. I know my driving can be the best at some times, but we'll see how we get on.
That's why you're driving it, not me.
Outside. It's a lovely model, done very well.
It's a nice looking train, and being a Hitachi unit, it's similar tech as something like the Javelin, for instance. So the acceleration in these units is really quite marked.
Yeah.
I mean, up until a few years ago, trains would struggle up the hill, up Cow Layers, a 170 you'd be looking to do in maybe 30-40 miles an hour at this point.
Yeah.
But you really don't feel the incline at the 385. It's amazing just how powerful these units are.
Yeah. Keep in mind the speed. And I see there's got quite nice updated signals as well.
Yeah, the signals have had some new functionality added into them. So things like approach control, see further towards Green Hill as we make this journey. I've got some new approach control from red, approach control, high speed with track circuit reset positions, which add a little bit more fun to this.
Yeah.
And the other thing with the passenger information system is it's not just in the station, we do actually get on board information as well. So as we come along here past these fields, the train washers just to your right here, as we go through the cutting, you'll get an announcement in the cab telling us when we're going to be approaching the next stop.
Yeah. Yeah, this I must admit, I do love the detail, and I'm enjoying this route. It's definitely fun to drive.
You've got to be on your toes. It's quite a tight timetable.
Yeah.
We'll soon arrive at Bishop Briggs.
There you go, and there's the
Don't
announcement.
forget to take your belongings with you before leaving the train.
Just
Please
love how he
mind the
says.
gap between the train and the platform as you leave the train.
Just brilliant how it says about taking your belongings and minding the gap between the train and the platform.
There's plenty of announcements on ScotRail.
Yeah.
And all of the stations on this whole project, although I did model Edinburgh Glasgow about 12 years ago now, every model has been completely redone from scratch on this project.
Wow.
The train now approaching platform 1 is for Dunblane. This service is running on time.
Oh, that's nice to know. It said I'm on time, so that's good. As it says there.
And if we sit too long at the station here, the screens actually update dynamically, so you'll start to see it appearing as 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes late. In fact, the train going into Glasgow is running just a tad late there.
Yeah.
All the stations, I've tried to model everything so that the inside of the booking offices, they're not solid models. They do actually have glass, and they have a sort of a simple interior. So there is a bit more detail than normal in these models.
Yeah. Just do a nice departure shot there. So yeah, what made you decide to do this route? What was special about it for you?
I think this is one that I've always wanted to do, really, certainly for the last 5 or 6 years. But with COVID and the lockdowns, and actually I did try and retire a couple of years ago, but found that impossible. It was an obvious one to do because it doesn't require research trips. One of the things I always like to do with a project is actually go to the place, experience it, especially things abroad like the Swiss projects, and work with the rail operators, but that's not really been feasible in the last few years. So this one, because I live here, this is my local railway, and I used to work in the railway in the late 80s, and I know this fairly well, so that made it a bit of a no-brainer. But saying that, in some ways it's a double-edged sword. The more you know, the more you've got to create. So there's a lot of detail in this. Things like the bridges are a good example. I like every bridge to be the actual bridge. It's amazing how many different designs there are. So there's over 70 different bridge models in this.
Yeah.
All modelled from either trips to the bridge or cab videos. So it'll be interesting. You can certainly compare, to some of the videos even Scott Rail release on the social media sort of as a good reference to how some of the infrastructure works.
Yeah.
A lot of them have changed over the years. They've got kind of brick in there to lift the bridge up for electrification.
Yeah.
We'll soon arrive at Lindsay. Don't forget to take your belongings with you before leaving the train. Please mind the gap between the train and the platform as you leave the train.
Just make sure that people can hear the announcement.
Unfortunately, the way things are hooked up is I don't have any audio at my end, so I'll take it for granted that the announcement's playing okay.
Yeah, they're playing fine. Sure, we're doing a nice stop.
You've done this too often, I think, Jamie.
I think I must have done. I've been having a practice, I think. As long as no one spilled their teas and coffees, that's all good. And as you see, there you go, there's the interior. So you were saying about the places.
Yeah, I mean, as obviously TS Classic isn't a first-person game, but at the same time, it's nice to see into buildings a little bit and get a little bit more detail.
Yeah, we even got the station information, which is correct as well. So you've got the actual station information boards.
Stand well away from the edge of platform 2. Fast
The other
train
thing that was interesting to model was let's go through first.
It came out with fast train approaching then as well.
Yeah. The system copes with that. The announcement happens prior to the train arriving at the platform if it's a fast service, whereas the announcement happens as you come into the station if it's stopping service.
Yeah,
but certainly the other thing is the catenary on the route is something that I've got a personal interest in. It's kind a strange thing to be interested in, I suppose, but it's something that I find technically interesting.
Yeah.
And this Series 2 catenary that's used throughout central Scotland is really quite different. It's really from an Italian manufacturer, and it's much more robust. It doesn't use spans that share different lines on a single wire span, for instance, so it's more robust in strong winds and bad weather.
Yeah.
But it is a completely new system, so there's new tensioners, new overlap mass, quite a lot of different components to replicate the catenary properly. In fact, we're just going through an overlap section here.
Yeah, there you go.
The way that it's done now is that it's really a maximum of 1 kilometre between overlap sections, so there's at least 50 overlap sections on the route.
Wow. And how long have you been working on the route for? Has it been a long project, and what made it sort of different compared to other routes that you've done?
Yeah, with the other routes, you typically take about 1.5 man-years to 2 man-years to complete. This one has actually taken the longest of any project I've worked on. I think that was just my choice. I wanted to get a much more sort of high fidelity representation of the track infrastructure. So things like the cable trunking on the left, where the track circuit cabinets are.
Yeah.
They again sort of follow reference, so they're not randomly positioned. They're actually positioned more or less where they are in reality. But this one's taken, I would say, about 2.5 man-years, and it's been done over the last sort of 3 years. In between other things, Glasgow Subway was one that I put this to one side and then came back to.
Yeah.
But it's a route that I have a sort of passion for myself, because I've different areas of this route. I've lived in different parts of it.
Yeah.
I remember it from way back when I was quite a young child, all the way through to today, where I live just fairly close to Larbert Station, so that's like kind of halfway along the journey we're making today.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, so we're doing well, still on time, so let's keep going. But yeah, this route will be out tomorrow. As this video's been recorded the week before, so as you'll be watching this will be out tomorrow, so you've got that to look forward to. You've got little scenes as well, which look good.
Yeah, there was lots of new access sites set up when the electrification was taking place, so there's been a lot of engineering taking place in the last few years.
Yeah. Also, you were saying that the sort of the assets people can use as well, like the station announcements and bits and pieces, aren't there?
It is. I've kind of put this all into the user manual, so that if somebody does buy this and they want to try and make a route of their own, it's not completely compatible with everything else out there, for good reason, because the scripting of a lot of the track linked assets, like the signals, actually need to be slightly different to normal just to achieve this. But you can certainly with what's supplied in the pack, just with this one product, you can make your own route, and you can make your own announcements.
That's fantastic. Sure, I'm not braking too hard. Probably braked a little bit too early there. Alright. Better brake early than braking late, is this thing?
So it's coming into Croy. The footbridge is actually relatively new. This was a structure that was only sort of built in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Really sort of dominates the station now.
Was there an original footbridge there before, or obviously before?
No, the walking path was actually over the road bridge that you're facing now. You go up the path and walk across, which if you were trying to catch a train was slightly annoying.
You can see it there, can't you? Yeah.
But for disabled access, obviously that's not appropriate, so that's why the accessibility has been looked at.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
That seems a long time ago now.
That's fun, isn't it? Look at that. That's brilliant. There we go. What have we got on the destination board? Remain your belongings at all times. Okay.
That changes depending on the season. You'll get slippery platform warnings in the winter in the game as well, depending what season you're running.
That's fantastic. Oh, I pressed it. Hello. I think I might have pressed something there by mistake.
You've pressed low speed mode. So if you brake now and then press the low speed button, then press it again. You notice the little icon on the left turn switches on and off. That's you back into normal driving.
There we go. Well, at least I know it works.
It's actually a system that's used for, as I said, for going through the train wash,
Yeah.
which holds the speed at 3 miles an hour. So what you were seeing there is actually the sort of cut-off, so power dynamically cuts off and maintains 3 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It doesn't break the train. It's not sort of an auto-drive system. It's purely a speed limiter,
Yeah.
power limiter.
Yeah.
And that features in some of the scenarios. That there is one where you actually travel through the wash before you go down to Queen Street, a couple up to another service.
Oh, fantastic.
And things like the rock faces. This is our new rock faces and things that quite random. So there's no repetition of the kind of rock that's too noticeable.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say was the most difficult bit of the route to build? Would you say?
Probably round about either Stirling or Glasgow. The catenary around Cowlayers and Eastfield is really quite complex. But each area has its own kind of challenge. Stirling is fairly complex from track and catenary, but the actual scenery, you've got Stirling Castle, the National Wallace Monument, so you need to find ways to model these, keeping performance reasonable, but also getting a nice visual impression of these places.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a tricky one. Route building doesn't normally pose too many challenges. The modelling of some of the assets is really where a lot of the work comes in. You can spend easily 4 or 5 weeks just modelling a station.
Yeah.
Before you get back to route building and working your way up the route.
Yeah.
I tend to kind of approach these in a slightly mechanical way, so I'll do all the track and all the catenary before I do anything else.
Okay. Yeah.
That usually helps because then it means where's signal placement. You don't want to put catenary in and find that it's sitting in front of a signal, for instance.
Yeah. Of course.
And other structures, things like bridges. You need to know where the masts are going to sit before you start modelling embankments and bridges. So once all the track and catenary is in, all the signalling is in, then I kind of work my way from one end to the other, just modelling things as I get to them. So,
yeah.
But the Stirling is you see it further in this drive, but it's quite a complicated building.
Yeah.
Now this is quite an interesting bit here. This is high-speed approach control. So we get 2 flashing yellows as we approach Green Hill Upper Junction. We're going to be diverging to the left.
Yeah.
You get 1 flashing yellow next, and then normally within TS Classic we would then have a yellow with a route indicator, which is correct, except in reality, normally by the time you get close to the junction signal, it will then clear to whatever the maximum aspect is that it can display, depending on what's in front of you.
Yeah.
So there's new triggers built into this product which sort of replicate track circuit breaks,
Yeah.
and as we go over these, the signal will then reset to whatever the full aspect is. The reason for this is, of course, if you have to break down to a yellow with a feather indicator, and it's a 70 mile an hour diversion, you would end up losing far too much speed. So if you watch this signal as we're approaching it, I'm going to signal yellow with a position 1 feather.
Yeah.
And as we come along here,
You see in the distance there.
you'll see it as we approach.
Okay, it's changed to green
There
again.
we go. So we can put the power back on now a little bit. We can keep the speed up to 70. It's a 70 mile an hour diversion. But that's the high speed version of the coding that's going into this product. Approach control from red, which I don't think we'll see. You may see this at Dunblane. Can't remember which approach is in this scenario. But approach control from red means that you approach the junction, so the junction signal at danger, and then as you approach it, it will either stay at danger if it needs to, or it will clear as you approach. And that's usually used for sort of high risk junction diversions.
Yeah.
But it certainly makes the driving experience much more interesting, because the other thing about signals of danger is TPWS is active, so the equipment to protect you from passing a signal of danger or approaching a signal of danger too quickly becomes active.
Yeah.
And if you don't approach the red signal under 20 miles an hour, then for example, you will get an automated brake. And so it's just going through a neutral section there.
Okay.
There's another one coming up shortly, and we can actually watch the VCB lamp. And there is an icon on the TMS, which extinguishes and comes back on as well. But I'll give you a bit of a heads up for that.
Yeah, thank you.
The overspeed trams, they really can catch you out if you're not careful in the scenarios. It actually caught me out a few times myself even when I was testing it. So.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, when you're testing it, that's the thing it's supposed to do, isn't it? To catch you out, or
Yeah,
to protect you.
Yeah, I should know better because I set them up, but it still got me. So.
Yeah.
So this is us coming down the hill to Carmew's West Junction, and just beyond the high tension power lines, there's the Falkirk Wheel, which is a boat lift for canal boats.
Oh yes. Just dropping down to 60 speed now. There's the canal.
Yeah.
Is it over here somewhere? Is it?
If we fly down and you look on the right hand side of the track, there we go. There's the hoops at the top. So it's actually this runs on the power of about 3 toasters to rotate because of the physics principles involved, and lifts barges up and down from one canal to the other.
There you go, look at that.
So the Forth and Clyde Canal and the Union Canal.
And there's the train goes underneath the canal there.
Yep.
As you can see, we've got our marker exactly where we need to stop as well now. Come up.
Yeah, so that little red arrow means that we're not stopping just anywhere on the platform at Largo. We're actually stopping at the 3 and 4 car stop board.
Yeah.
And as we slow down, that granularity on the HUD will start to increase, and you'll see the stopping point more accurately.
Yeah.
So this is Carmew's West Junction, the line to the right, and goes through to Falkirk Grimston, up to Pullman, and then it continues on to Edinburgh Waverley, or the junction just after Falkirk into Grangemouth. And then the other side of the triangle there is the line for services from Edinburgh through to Dunblane and Alloa.
This triangle there.
So if you went to the cab and we watched the VCB, this is us coming to another
What is the VC?
neutral section, so the magnets on the outside of the track, that's the power kicked off, power kicked back on again.
We'll soon arrive at Glasgow.
So
Don't
the
forget to take
vacuum
your
circuit
belongings
breaker
with
and
you
overhead
before
line
leaving the
lamps
train.
on the TMS go out and come back on.
Please
Yeah.
mind the gap between the train and the platform as you leave the train.
Or another viaduct.
There's lots of these sort of structures on this line. It's just amazing how much engineering went into it.
Yeah,
Of course, this line is the main line up to all the way up to Perth and Inverness, Aberdeen. So it's quite a busy line.
now, interestingly, we've gained about a minute, so interesting to see.
Unfortunately, you don't get extra points for being early.
Nope. That would be good. No, I'm still coming up as on time at the moment. Good.
The train
I feel
now
like I need to order a taxi now.
platform is for Dunblane. This service is running on time.
So this is my local station here, which is again seen quite a bit of engineering work. The bridge, footbridge was replaced, and the road bridge was replaced to lift everything up for electrification. So that was quite a major bit of engineering work about 5 years ago. And again, the inside of the station, you can actually fly in there and go up the stairs and see the actual inside of
We've gone the wrong way. Okay.
the building.
Okay.
So it's just trying to represent just a little bit more detail than we normally have in TS Classic.
Oh, I've got 9 points for me accuracy. That's not too bad. I've had worse.
Well, you didn't lose points. That's the main thing.
Yeah, yeah. Got a signal box there as well.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of signal boxes in this area. They've demolished the ones at Cambu's, Larbert Junction. This is Larbert North. And there's still a couple of signal boxes at Stirling. I've got middle signal and north signal box at Stirling.
And you've got a rail training centre as well there.
Yeah, that's where they train a lot of the engineers.
Yeah. Right, carry on.
And this is, as in the Edinburgh-Glasgow section, it is fast. It's 100 miles an hour. As we come out of here, then we increase to 95.
So that caught me out.
Just caught you out there.
Just, yeah.
Just.
I'll just show you the route map. So we are down here. That's the full route map.
So there's no stations between Larbert and Stirling, so it's a good sort of 8-mile run to Stirling. The only thing really to see is there's a wood pulp plant at Cowie, which produce kind of MDF and chipboard. It's got quite a lot of sort of infrastructure around it. The bridges going over the top of the M9, the M876, which is the sort of motorway network in the Central Belt.
Yeah, it does look. I mean, I must admit, this is very much a. There we go, catch me out again. This is very much a photogenic route, definitely.
It's pretty here. I mean, it's very industrial in Glasgow, but really, as soon as you get out past Bishop Briggs, it starts to open up into the countryside. I mean, over to the right-hand side, there's a lovely kind of castle, which is a sort of venue for weddings and things.
Oh, there is.
So again, even these models have been made, especially for the project. You don't see it much on the train, unfortunately. You can see the kind of tall evaporation equipment Cowie just in front of us, just straight ahead, sticking out above the trees. So it's quite a sizable structure.
Yeah. What's your favourite bit of the route? What's your favourite, like, the bit you've had to make, or the bit, what's the favourite thing?
I think the favourite area for me is around Stirling. Stirling, we've spent a lot of time in. I know Stirling very well, and it's an interesting place from a railway perspective. We even used to have motor rail loading way back in the 80s at Stirling.
Yeah.
But certainly, it wasn't quite as interesting before we opened the Alloa line. And now Stirling really is quite busy. Certainly, just the modelling around it is quite interesting. It's Rivet Games, for instance. You used to have a large studio in Stirling, so all the buildings there have all been modelled to the prototypes.
Fantastic.
And as we pass, that's Pleen, we've just passed, we're coming now back down the hill, so it's a downhill run into Stirling.
Yeah.
And looking over to the right hand side, as you can almost look over towards the line that sort of bends round 180 degrees back towards Alloa. You can just make out in the distance the Wallace Monument sort of poking up.
There you go, yeah. Obviously, with also the panels, you can move these around, can't you?
You can. This was just a bit of fun, really. The animations are all in place. That when you couple up to another 385, the centre cabins then get rearranged. The walls of the cab close over and form a corridor for passengers to walk through between sets.
Yeah.
So you can press, I wouldn't do it at the moment, but you can press F8, I think it is, to basically reconfigure the cabins, and all the walls all change. There's about 6 wall panels and floor ramp all change positions.
Yeah.
That's quite fun. You can do that in both cabs once you walk down. If you couple up and then move to the front and drive off. So you see the effects in the interior and the exterior.
Just making sure I slow down.
It's quite a drop in speed as we come into Stirling. 70 here, but very quickly you come down to 40. Again, about 6-7 years ago, they put in the loop on the right hand side for departure from trains going south from Stirling, so just to buy a little bit more time in the timetable. So again, that signal there is quite unusual. You've got a theatre and a feather, which is a very unusual mixture. Theatre gives you indications for bay platforms, platform 10 for example. You get a feather position 4 if you're going to Alloa. And then as we come in here, you've got the Thistles shopping centre on the left hand side, which is an enormous model. You can see the castle sticking up in the distance on the top of the hill.
Oh yeah, you can see that. Go hop over and see that in a second.
And as we come into the station, we're actually going under the 4th side pedestrian bridge, which is quite dominant to say the least.
It is, yeah. Make sure I stop in my correct position. That was quite good, I'm happy with that. Where have I gone? That's because I'm zoomed in. Oh, there we are. It's in the footbridge.
Okay, it's quite unusual catenary here. There's catenary masts that are pushing the wires out from the canopies of the platform. And all the infrastructure of catenary is painted so dark grey here. It's all to do with a listed building and planning permission.
Yeah.
So that's why these masts in particular are dark grey.
I've got 17 then, I'm pleased with that. And then you said the castle is up here, isn't it? There you go.
Castle's up here, yep. That's a really interesting place to visit if you're ever in Stirling.
You can see right down to the railway. Where are we? Down there you go. And we're now heading off.
We've got a service coming in there from Alloa going into Glasgow.
Platform is 49 Glasgow Queen Street.
This service is running on time.
That service is running on time as well.
We get a new job at ScotRail soon.
This service is for Dunblane
past Stirling North box. This is where the lines will split in two lines to the right of the lines that go out towards Alloa. And we go over the River Forth here, which is a pair of iron steel bridges. Really quite ornate structures. It's really interesting to see things like old Caledonian railway structures, how they were built and designed.
Yeah, there they are. Very different colours as well.
Yeah, they seem to change colour every year.
They swap them round for the fun of it. Yeah. It's an intersection. There you go.
Yeah. So again, you see you lose your power. The blue power bars disappear, and the two indicators extinguish. And then we're in the land of level crossings beyond Stirling. There's a level crossing on the line between here and Bridgeval, and there's also a foot crossing, which we're just about to go past. They do actually have working lamps on the foot crossing, changes indicator as we approach. You should hear the klaxon softly as we go past. Yep, that's the foot crossing there.
There you go.
There we go, so we're allowed to get across now. Then you've got the main crossing just coming up.
Get over klaxon then.
And this is where we start the climb from here up to Dunblane. It's actually quite a steep ascent.
Yeah, 1 in 100 there. Just let the train roll because we're going into Bridge of Allen.
Bridgeval's a lovely place.
Another lovely stop.
And still on time.
Still on time. Oh, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. Even got all the indicators and sounds on the doors as well.
Yeah, and there's actually 4 different little passenger views depending what vehicle you're in.
Yeah. Right, there we go. Right, we'll head off again. We'll drive past.
This is where the old 170s would really struggle coming out of Bridge of Allen because you're on an incline. They would take quite an age to get up to speed. But the 385s just have no hesitation at all now.
Oh, so it used to be 170s before this then?
Yeah, and in fact, I mean, Edinburgh Glasgow was electrified first, so it was 170 really up until 2-3 years ago. Just passed a warning board there for the electrification coming to an end for services coming from London to Inverness. I think there is talk about extending electrification up to Perth fairly soon, so it may actually continue further than it does at the moment. Now, this is a very picturesque little area, and again, this is this is an area we need to be quite careful as we're getting a single yellow approach to Dunblane. So we have to remember that as we approach the red signal, we need to be under 20 miles an hour at the speed trap. So not for a while yet, but this is where you could easily be caught out by TPWS.
Yeah.
We will soon arrive at Dunblane, which is the last station on this route. Make sure you have all your belongings with you when you leave the train. We hope you have enjoyed
So you
your
can see
journey. and thank
our
you
entry
for
signal
travelling
into the
slowly.
station is in red just now ahead, and the TPWS overspeed sensors or the speed trap is just as we come out of the tunnel.
Just concentrating on ensure we don't overspeed. Okay. You see the speed traps there, can't you?
Yep. So that's the arming, and you pass over the trigger, and if you were doing, the timing loop would determine what speed you're doing, and if you're doing more than 20, that would trip the overspeed. And then the track circuit here will detect that the train's now approaching the signal, and there we go, we've got a position 1 entry into the platform. And it's quite a low speed entry into platform 3 at 15 miles an hour.
Yeah.
In fact, they're actually doing additional engineering work just in the next few months to reinstate a crossover just about where we are, so that trains can actually turn around and come back out to the south from platform 2 and 3.
Oh, brilliant.
At the moment, as it's been for many years, we have to, if we're returning, we have to pull north of the station, and there's a reversing point on the main line, and then back into platform 1.
Yeah.
And that's what we represent in a lot of the scenarios. At the moment, there's even a couple of old semaphore ground signals just as we come into the station.
Yeah, I thought I'd saw them when I had to go the reverse one.
Yeah, it's good fun reversing. It's again that features in the scenarios included in the product. And as we
The train now
stop the train
approaching
at the top here,
platform 3 terminates here.
There we go.
This service
the
is
onboard
running
announcement will
on
also
time.
give you a instruction to leave the train because we're terminating.
Yeah.
So that plays about 20 seconds after we open the doors.
So there we go. I'll show you where the semaphore is, because there's the signal box there.
Yeah. And then the electrification, that's only 1 track electrified up here, and that's your 2 reversing stop boards. And then there's the first semaphore signal as we make our way up towards Perth.
So there we go. So that is Glasgow Dunblane. I'll bring my cameras back now. Which one is it? That one and that one. We're back, we're here. We haven't gone anywhere. So yes, so that's the route. I mean, yeah, it's just quite incredible really. The amount of detail that you've put into it is just, yeah, very well done.
Thanks, Jamie. That was a great drive. It was really fun watching somebody else driving it instead of me for a change.
Yeah.
But no, it's as I said, it's a bit of a passion project. It's one I've really wanted to do for a while, and hopefully the new features, make it quite interesting to play.
Yeah.
But no, I'll be interested to see how many players get caught by TPWS in some of the scenarios, because they are hidden in quite unusual places you wouldn't expect.
Yes, yeah. I think have a go at driving it definitely when you get it, and yeah, it's it's a different experience, and it certainly makes it certainly fun with like the train terminates here, all the different announcements and everything. Certainly makes it the route come to life, definitely. So yeah. So yes, as we said, as this video has been recorded, it will be out tomorrow. So you haven't got long to wait. If you can't wait that long, I think it's on pre-order as well. So yes, there we go. But anyway, I will see you in the next one, and take care, everyone. We'll see you soon. Bye bye, everyone.
Thanks a lot. See you guys later.